Hello Bitzbox, this is Craig from Bitzbox.co.uk here with a painting tutorial. So in this one, I'm going to be painting for Gotrek Miniature. So I'm mainly going to be using a lot of contrast paints to start with, get all them base colours down, and then add in some layers and highlights as you will see in the video. But I'm quite happy with the final result, and I hope you guys will enjoy the video. But before we get into it, I just want to say a huge shout out, give a huge shout out and say a massive thank you to all of our Patrons. Thank you so much for helping support the channel. We offer things like discount codes for free shipping on our website, so if you use our website quite a lot, then you can save money by hopping on our Patreon and getting a discount code there. And on the higher pledges, you can get monthly bits bags sent to you also. So if you just like loads of random bits, then yeah, you can hop on our Patreon and check that out. We also put up a few videos early as well, so we're hoping to do that a lot more this year. And this video itself will have gone up early for our Patrons, and you can get on that just for as little as $1 a month. So yeah, that's enough from me. Let's get straight into this. So I've got Gotrek here with his base. I've left them separate just to make it easier to paint. So what I'm going to do, try something different. I want to take some Nuln oil and I want to apply that over both of these pieces, just to really give us some really dark recesses. Actually, sorry, I tell a lie. I'm going to apply it to the base, and I think with Gotrek, I might actually, because he has a lot of skin, I might try Agrax instead of black. I think the black might be a bit too dark. Don't worry if it tints the whole thing darker, because in the next step I'll lighten back up the raised areas. But what I want for this piece is to really have a very dark, high contrast in the shadows. And ironically, contrast paints don't always give you enough contrast sometimes. If you really want dark shadows, then you don't always get out contrast paint. So at least certain ones, the darker ones obviously will. Also, doing this really helps bring out all that detail straight away, so when it comes to painting, it does make it a little bit easier to see what you're doing. So just apply that all over, like so. Yeah, I think I'll try Agrax on Gotrek himself. I think having the black on the skin might be a bit too much, because you can just apply the Agrax to the skin and then Nuln oil to other areas, but I'm just being lazy. I think for the hair as well, this will work better. Again, it brings out all that detail really nice. So it's essentially like a pre-shade over the whole thing. It's essentially what it is. Now, I haven't really done this much. Certainly not with contrast paints, so it's a bit of an experiment to see how it turns out, but I'm hopeful. I get it all applied over him, like so. And I'll give it plenty of time to dry. Okay, so now both those washes are dry. As you can see, got really nice dark recesses, but also the tops of the miniature, the raised areas are all pretty dark now too. So I'm going to come back in with the grey Seer, which I use for a primer. I'm going to take a dry brush and simply just dry brush the entire thing. Just building that colour back up. And give me a nice light surface to work on, but keeping those dark colours in the recess. So I'm going to work around both miniatures, just building up gradually. Don't go in too heavy with a dry brush, you can just keep adding more. So it really brings out the detail, and it will make the highlights slightly lighter as well. So hopefully when I start adding colour we'll have some really nice contrast on here. Okay, so now that dry brush has been done, it's literally going to be a case of applying all the contrast paints in places where I want to have contrast paints first. So I'll start by taking Gulliman Flesh. This is going to be used on the Skaven on the base. So the previous steps will make these colours a little bit muted, but as you can see it gives a nice, really nice sort of depth in the recesses. Just adds that little bit more to them. And contrast paints are quite good for that anyway, but just want to go just that extra step with these. So essentially doing the Skaven's arms and faces and that. If you've watched my video on how I paint Skaven, I'm going to do them exactly the same way. Whenever I have which very rarely, but whenever I have sort of dead things on the bases, I always sort of paint them up the same way as my own armies if I have them. So these will be painted exactly the same way as my own Skaven. So next up I'm taking Nazdreg yellow. So this is for the clothes on the Skaven. So you could paint yours any colour you like. As I say, this is a colour that my own Skaven are dressed in. So just carefully work it around on the clothes for them. And you see that's looking really nice. Hope you can see that okay. So yeah, I'll just continue around like so before I lose my voice. Okay, so a lot of the base is wood. Lots of scrap pieces of wood, barrels and whatnot. So I'm going to use a couple of different browns to paint them, otherwise it'll be a bit boring just having all of the same colour. So first one I'm going to take is Gore Grunta Fur. I'll start applying it to the ones at the top. It's a really nice sort of orangey brown, almost like Mornfang. I really like that. So I'm going to paint some areas with this. Mainly sort of just random bits and bobs. And next I'm going to take some Cygor brown to do some other areas. So I'm going to do like mainly the barrels and a few other pieces of wood. Stuck my brush there, a bit of plastic. And yeah, some random pieces. Also, like one of these Skaven guys has some straps just on his face there, so I want to paint them in this colour. Also, so for the last colour of wood, I'm actually going to take some skeleton horde. So I'm going to go for a more sort of paler wood. And I'll give it some nice light highlights as well. This is going to be for every other piece of wood that I haven't done. So just do sort of random bits each colour as you go along, then you should end up with some left. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about that one. Just had a little bit of previous colour on. That doesn't really matter because I'm going to paint over all the highlights anyway, just to enhance that contrast even more. I'll even paint that shield in this colour. So just work around and finish off all the wooden parts with the contrast. So next up I'm taking some black Templar. This is going to be for all the bindings on the spears. So there's a few spears on there. I wasn't really too sure what to do for these, so I've just gone with black. Got a bit too heavy there, but there we go, just neaten that up. Won't just actually be that one spear. Yeah, so one spear has that binding there. Next up, all the silver areas will be painted with Iron Hands steel. So there's a fair few. Obviously all these spear bits, parts of the shields. Another spear there, and we've got these little bits here. There's some few little rivets and nails in there as well. So there's a fair bit to do, so just work your way around doing them. I just noticed there's some little bits of binding on that spear as well, so I'll get that painted in Black Templar also. So next we'll come back in with our old friend Nuln oil, and we'll add some shade to all of these metal areas. A bit less on the brush. Essentially, when you paint the contrast paints, that brings them up to this finish. So essentially, like a base coat and a shade is essentially what the sort of finish you get with the contrast paints. Well, GW says they sort of give you a bit of a highlight, but I think you need an extra highlight on contrast paints, and we'll be doing highlighting stage later on. I'm just going to get all the base coats down on this base, and then we're going to do the same on Gotrek very soon. So put on these spears. Don't worry if they're a lot darker than what you want, because we're going to brighten them all back up. And whilst the Nuln oil is out, as I said I was going for a more high contrast. Some of these sort of lighter colours. What one was that? Was that the Gore Grunta? Fair. Oh, and I had just a Nuln oil over some of that's to darken it down even more. So you could even do a wash just in the recesses, but I'll go all over. You don't even have to do all of them. I might just do some random ones. I'll just make them slightly darker and just give them a bit more variety as well. So moving on to the big guy himself. That may shock you that I'm going to paint his skin with Fyreslayer flesh. Probably never saw that coming. So again, this stage is all about laying down those base colours, mainly using the contrast paints. This is a nice flesh tone, obviously designed for Fyreslayers and dwarfs, etc. Slightly darker than the Gulliman flesh. Works really well if you want a more sort of just a sort of slightly sort of tanned flesh, I would say. Not fully tanned, but just slightly. The flesh of a dwarf who likes to drink, let's say. Or one who likes to slay a lot. So yeah, just go around doing that. Now we'll move on to his hair and beard. So for his hair and beard, I'm going to take some Gryph Hound orange. And apply that all over. I'm not too worried about avoiding the little bands and stuff in his beard, so that'll be painted metallic. So I'll be going over just with regular paint. Get his mohawk this colour as well. And don't forget to get behind as well, back of the beard. So next I'm going to take some Akhelian green. I'm going to paint a little artifact in his left hand with its colour, because I think it's just a really nice colour. I'm also going to paint his trousers in the colour. I know he traditionally wears a more sort of darker muted blue, but I really like this colour, so I'm going with it. I'll just apply it like so. So, next I'm taking a black Templar, and this is for his boots, and I'll do his belt as well. Now I'm not going to do the top rims of the boots, I'm going to do them in a grey. Oh, I managed to get some blue on the brush, that's great. I'll fix that off camera. Oh dear. But yeah, just don't use black Templar, don't use blue on the boots and the belt. So next I'm going to take some Blood Angels red, and I'll thin that down with some contrast medium, and I'm going to apply it sort of towards the top of the beard. To add a bit of that redness in there, and also doing the same base of the hair as well. And be more careful on me not to get it on his head. That brush is just going to make it worse. I'll just get a damp brush to try and bring it up. Don't matter too much because I'm going to go back over the flesh with the highlights and such. But try and be careful nonetheless. Pat on the hair like so. Don't worry if it's not a smooth transition. Once we put the highlights over, it should be less noticeable. Yeah, a bit better on the beard. But yeah, it just adds a bit of depth, sort of a red sort of depth to it. I'm going to take it a bit further on the plaits. Like so. So I'm going to take the Nazdreg yellow, and that's going to go on his axe in this central part. Like so. Done a little bit too much. That side, so I'll just suck some of that up with a brush. And then I'm going to take some Space Wolves grey, put that around the rims of these boots. Like so. And essentially that's it for all the contrast paints on this miniature. I don't think I missed any out. So we've just got some metallics to add to Gotrek. Then it'll be a case of just adding some highlights in on all the colours we've done. Okay, so we'll go back to the Iron Hand Steel first. And we'll use this colour on several areas of him. So we have chainmail at the front. We also have the bracelets on his wrists. And the actual blade of his axe, but not the handle. And I think that's it. I'm not. Oh, and these chains as well. But I'm not going to do the shoulder pad because we're going to do that in a slightly different silver. So for the darker metal areas, I'm going to take Iron Warriors. So this is for his shoulder pad. and also the shaft of his axe. So for the gold areas, I'm actually going to go to scale 75 and take their Viking gold. But you can use any sort of gold or bronzy colour. And that Citadel will do. I just prefer these scale 75 ones. So we've got the bit on the axe here. Also got this pattern design on the axe. Might be a little bit easier for me to do off camera. Also his little sort of icon things here on his belt. And don't forget the little bits on his beard as well. I think that's it. So that colour's on the back of his belt as well as some little bits. So I'm going to do most of that off camera. Require a steady hand, a bit easier to do off film. Alright, so it's time to start adding some layers and highlights now. So some colours will have some layers and then a highlight, and some I'll just go straight to the highlight. So I'm going to take some Skraag brown first. This is going to be for the Gore, Grunta, fur areas. And I thinned it out with a little bit of water, and I'm going to sort of apply this on like all the raised areas, so it's essentially more a highlight. I'm not going to go all over it, but some colours I will do that and then add a highlight. But for this, I'm going to maybe it's really somewhere in between. I don't think we'll need a further highlight for this colour, but of course if you're painting yourself following this video and you want to go a little bit further, then certainly you can do that. I'll see how it looks. This will brighten this colour up quite nicely. And this nice, it's a nice sort of orangey wood colour, this Skraag brown. I really like it. So yeah, I'm going to work my way around all of this. Okay, so I'm quite liking how that's looking now, but I will take it a step further, as I do want quite a lot of contrast on this base. So I'm going to take some Deathclaw brown now, and I'm going to focus this more on the edges. I've thinned it out as always. All these steps I'll be thinning these colours out, so they will dry a lot more subtle than they go on. I think I'll work it around, right around the edges. Just leaving a little bit in the middle, I think. So yeah, get a lot of the sharper points and the most raised areas, just as you would with the more extreme sort of edge highlights. And you see it gives us nice contrast on the wood. So I'm going to take some Bloodreaver flesh now for the darker wood areas, and done exactly the same thing. Just hitting them raised areas. I'm going to thin that out just a bit too much. You can see on here, just get most of the raised areas, the higher points. Now I'll lighten that up quite nicely. Of course it will dry slightly darker, and then it goes on, which is good because you don't want it to be too light, because we don't want to get it looking too much like the other wood that we've just done. But I'll get it on and just sort of following the wood grain as always on the side of a barrel very carefully. Yeah, good tip for this one. Get on like so. And I'm probably going to leave this colour at just this this coat because I don't want to go too light with this one. Okay, so next up we're going to take some Flayed One Flesh for these lighter wood areas. I think it'll work nice as a nice bright highlight for these, so just again, edge highlight. That works very, very nice. So I'm going for this sort of almost like a bone colour wood. And again, just follow the grains and hit them raised areas. So next up I'm going to take some Stormhost Silver, and this will give us a nice bright edge highlight on all these silver areas. The bright highlight on blades especially will give an illusion of sharpness to them. Now of course if you wanted you could make these all rusted and do any sort of weathering effects that you want on there. I'm just going to keep them clean for purposes of this video. Make sure you go around all the shields and armour and such as well. Okay, so yellow areas now. I'm going to take some Uriel yellow. Now, as looking back on my Skaven video, I'm not even sure I highlighted for yellow on them, but they were a quick and easy sort of tabletop scheme, and we're going just a little step or two further on this miniature, of course. So again, it's just going to be highlighting the raised areas. Give us some nice bright highlights. And be a bit more careful than me, but let's work your way around the yellow areas. Next up I'm going to take some Mournfang Brown, and this is to paint all the little hairs on the arms and face of the Skaven. Still trying to leave some of the darker bits in the recesses. Then I'm going to take some Kislev Flesh, and this is going to be to highlight all the skin areas. And next I'm going to take some White Scar, and this is just to paint the eyes of the Skaven. So, very carefully, they're not too difficult, just stick in some white. And you can use any colour you like, whatever you think Skaven eye should be. I think that's just them three. Right, so and then I'm going to take some Abandoned Black to paint the rim of the base and any little exposed areas at the bottom. Now you could add some flock, sand, whatever basic material you want at the bottom, but I'm just going to do it all pure black. And you might need 2 or 3 coats of this to get a nice smooth finish. Okay, so back to the big guy himself, and it just dawned on me, I've been filming this over the course of a few days. I was meant to put some Nuln oil on his metallic, on the silver metallic areas, before I went and highlighted the base. But never mind, we shall do them now. And so just put a Nuln oil, thin out slightly, just over all of the silver. And so next I'm going to take some Adruchi Violet, and this is going to be for all the gold areas. So gold's a great colour because you can literally shade it with anything and it will always look pretty good. So in this instance, I'm just going to use Druchii Violet. You may choose to use Caribou Crimson, Saffron Sepia, even Agrax, whatever you fancy. They all work pretty well. Even that green wash looks pretty good. It all depends what sort of finish you want for your gold. Okay, so now we can start layering, and I'm going to start with his flesh, Akhelian flesh tone. So, I'll thin this out. I'm literally going to do a couple of thin coats all over his flesh, just leaving the darker colours where the contrast paint is settled. Just leaving that in the recesses. So this will brighten his flesh up a fair bit. Obviously it won't dry this bright, but we'll do a couple of coats so it won't be too far away. And then next up I'm going to take some Kislev flesh to highlight the flesh areas. So start on the face, get them high points on the cheeks. I'll follow the sort of curve of his head, and then try to sort of follow the shape of his muscles, sort of highlight on them. Maybe just go more sort of centrally raised areas as well. And of course fingers and whatnot. And then I'm going to take some Flayed one flesh for a more extreme highlight. So certainly if we want to focus, go on his nose. Just little dots of this at the most raised points, and you can do little corners and whatnot on the muscles, just for like a little further highlight, like so. Okay, so let's highlight that hair and beard. I'll take some Trollslayer orange. It might be a bit brighter than what I really want, but we're quite limited with oranges in the GW range. However, I'll stick with it. I think it'll be fine. Thin it out, because you're going to need a steady hand for this. And just try and paint as many of these individual hairs as you can. Now, because it's thinned out, it will be a subtle highlight, but it's going to be a very important step. So all these little bits on the plaits. So yeah, just take your time with this one, and the end result will be well worth it. Next up is Fire Dragon Bright, and we're going to do essentially the same thing, but we're not going to do the highlights as far up. Come on, focus. We're just going to do them towards the lower tips, maybe the lower half, lower third, depending on how long the bit is. Be a bit more careful than I was with that bit, but just run it down like that. When it comes to these little braids, I'm actually going to do the highlight towards the tops, towards the centre. So very careful with this, just tiny little dots of it. Again, good tip on your brush, just be very careful with it. And slowly and carefully work your way around. And I'll do the same with the hair as well, of course. Next up, I'm going to take some Uriel Yellow, and this is just for some final little highlights. I've watered this down, and I'm just doing tiny little highlights on all the edges and corners and what have you. Just tiny little bits like so, and it will then be his beard. So next up we'll highlight the golden areas with some Uric armor gold. This will be a nice bright highlight on these gold areas. I'm just getting a lot of the raised points. Don't forget the pieces in his beard also. Next up, I'm going to take some Stormhost Silver. Now, this is going to highlight all the silver metallic areas, but I'm also going to do a little spot highlight with it for the gold as well. So I'll mainly be sort of edge highlighting silver areas. I'm going to get all these little dots on his chainmail tabard as well. Like so. But yeah, when it comes to the gold, tiny little dots at all the sharpest points. So next up, I'm going to take some Sotek Green for his trousers. Now of course if you've done his trousers in another colour, then obviously just use a lighter version of that. I'll thin this out and I'm just going to layer it up over this colour. So this is slightly lighter than what we've got there. Not by a great deal, but enough just to make them darker shadows contrast even more with this colour. Then I'll take some Araman Blue to do some highlights, especially on the back here where you see there's a little creases and such. Again, this is not a massive jump in colour from where we were before. So it'll give us more subtle highlights, but messed up a little bit there though. I would have liked it not to have gone in that recess, so I might put a little shade over that just to bring that back. And yeah, just going to follow creases like so, maybe some sort of round there and there. And on the front, sort of hit around the knees. Like so. So I feel like I just want to go just a little step later. I'm going to take some Baroth Blue and mix it into the Araman Blue, sort of roughly 50-50, and thin it out. And also I've got this little artifact in his hand as well, so highlight that definitely with this colour. So it really brings out detail on that, trying to get just that little bit in between the fingers. And yeah, I'll sort of go just a little bit more on the trousers, just in little bits though, not as much as we done in the last step. So just some little highlights here, just give it just that extra little step, so hit like the sharper areas on them creases. Like so. I'm sorry if it's not staying focused too good. But yeah, like that, as you can see. That'll dry quite nice and subtle. And lastly, I'm going to take some Eshin Grey just for his boots. and his belt, which is also black. Just highlight them again, doing the creases and stuff. Running a little bit of this and then on the belt. I'm just going to do a little bit less on the brush, just run a line along the bottom and a line along the top, as thin as you can make it. And with that, Gotrek is done. So yeah, you could add some freehand tattoos on him if you're feeling really brave. Certainly something I wouldn't attempt on camera. I'm going to leave him how he is because I'm quite happy with him. But yeah, I'm really happy with how he's turned out actually. Loving the base and his beard especially. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. A bit sort of different to my normal stuff, sort of spending a bit more time on this miniature. Normally I sort of do a lot of stuff just to a quick sort of tabletop standard, but I wouldn't mind doing more sort of display pieces, even taking them even further than what I do with this guy. And if that's the sort of thing you're into, then definitely let me know in the comments. And yeah, there'll probably be a lot more painting tutorials. I'm trying to just sort of film a lot more as I'm sort of just painting stuff now, so there's lots to come in the near future. And as I've been mentioning on lots of the recent videos, we are soon to hit 10,000 subscribers, and we're going to do a massive giveaway when that happens. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, then do hit that subscribe button, and everyone who subscribes to the channel will automatically be in with a chance to win something in that massive giveaway. We're not sure what yet, because it all depends when we hit it and what's out at the time, because we'll probably chuck in a load of new releases at that time, whenever it is. But yeah, anyway, I'm babbling. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. You can also click that bell icon to be notified when a new video has gone live on this channel. On the screen now are 2 more videos that you may wish to check out, and a link to our Patreon page also. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.